Welcome to Behind the Entertainment Scene with Stephanie Thompson. I am your host. On this show, we bring artists who have entertaining insights, inspiring stories, and secrets to their success. Well, and I have with me my amazing co-host, Antonio Carnota.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Stephanie, you look fantastic.
Oh, thank you. I love you, Antonio.
It's
You're
a pleasure.
So fabulous.
We have a surprise tonight. We have a surprise.
We have an amazing guest.
Yes.
He is internationally known. He is an actor, he is a comedian, he is a singer, songwriter, all-around entertainer, Mr. Kev Orkian.
It's a pleasure.
We need some
fanfare. I love you. I love everyone. I love you all.
And we love you, Kev.
Bless you. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me on the show.
Yes. Oh, well, we love having you. And so you have so much to share, and we have so little time. So let's get right to it. So how did you get your start in your entertaining ways?
I think from a kid, I was always the joker of the class. You know, I always told jokes. I always I teased people. I used to do things that other children wouldn't dare to do in the classroom, and I think that just instigated my my love for wanting to do it all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I grew up kind of doing all the kind of the naughty things children would do, but I did it with an entertainment flair, if you want to call it that.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think I was 4 years old when I first did my first kind of performance on stage in front of 1,000 people. And it was to the detriment of my mother, to be honest with you, because we went to a concert and she was sitting with my dad and they were watching the concert, and the guy at the end, the MC, came out and said, "The show's over." He said, "It's unbelievable. It's nearly 20 minutes left for the end of the show, and we have finished early tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So you guys," and I just basically stood up on my chair as he was talking. I said, "I'd like to do a poem." And he said,
"4 years old,
I was
you
4
said
years old.
that.
And
My
he said,
goodness.
and he said, "What?" He said, "Okay, come up." So my mother was like, "I'm going to kill you. I'm going to..." Anyway, so I walked up on stage and he put me on the piano, and I stood on the piano, the grand piano, and I did my poem. And then I got an ovation from the audience, and I said, "I'd like to do another one." And I did another one, and that was a bit longer. And the audience just gave me a standing ovation. They said, you know, if he can do that, and he's got the guts to do that in front of us lot. And then my mother said, well, if that's what it is, then he's going to be doing this for the rest of his life.
So that was that your moment when you, I mean, at 4 years old, what do you know? But do you just have you had a sense?
I have
then?
a passion for it, yeah.
Yeah, you just had, you just knew that
yeah,
that's what
I mean,
you
I
enjoyed.
always dressed up as a kid, and I always did shows and puppet shows, and I used to go out onto the streets in front of my house. We had a brick wall, and I used to wait for people to walk past, and I would put the puppets out and I'd entertain them while they were going past. I just enjoyed performing.
Oh, that is lovely. Now, do you have any siblings?
I do. I have a younger sister who actually is a piano teacher. She's an amazing piano teacher. She's got incredible talent for teaching. I didn't have the patience she did, so I went into the performing arts. But she's taught many students, put them all through the Royal Academy, and I know she still does it now. She tours. I say she tours. She travels around, basically teaching students galore from any age. She's fantastic.
That's wonderful. Now, fast forward a little bit, and you went on Britain's Got Talent.
I did.
In, I believe, 2010?
That's right.
Yeah. And tell us about your experience on that. How was that?
I did a show, actually, called The Next Big Thing, and it was 3 months prior to Britain's Got Talent starting. And I did the show, and there was, I think, 16 to 20,000 people had applied for that and competed. And I won the show, and I came #1 in that. So they gave me a massive prize, and they gave me some incredible opportunities. And at that show, Britain's Got Talent was there. The scouts who check out the talent, and they approached me and said, "Would you come on our show?" And I said, "I don't really want to do it." And they said, "Look, we'd really love you to come on the show." So after speaking with my management and having a discussion with my agent and whatnot, we decided, look, we're not going to lose doing the show. Let's just have fun doing it. And we knew what we expected it to be edited the way they wanted it to be edited. We expected a lot of things to change, but I had a good time doing it. I had a great time doing it.
Did you? Yeah. And now it's 2018, and you're a superstar.
Oh,
it's just,
I'm not sure about being a superstar, but I certainly I worked very hard at what I enjoy.
Yes.
And when you enjoy what you do as a job, like I know Antonio loves playing the piano. If he didn't enjoy it, he wouldn't be as good as he is.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
So you have to enjoy what you do.
And we have two pianists here. Now
Yes.
I want to hear you play something.
Well, we could do a duet.
Oh,
Yeah,
good, that will be
let's
wonderful.
do- let's do
My
it.
Can we do a
honor.
duet?
Yes, yes,
My
of
honor.
course.
What do you mean,
Yes,
my
of
honor?
course.
No, all right.
Yes, yes.
Let me come round. Let me come
Yeah,
round.
whatever you like.
I'll do the top half. You can do the bottom half. Let's
Wonderful.
do this. Oh,
Yes, yes,
sorry, Here
yes.
we go. There we go. Let's sit down.
Wow, wow, wow.
Okay, you do everything you need to do. Okay, let's go. Let's do a bit of boogie woogie. Do you want to do a bit of boogie woogie?
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1. All right.
Great.
Oh, that was
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so
He's
much.
great. He's great. He's brilliant.
Oh, you both are fantastic.
I'll come round.
Fantastic.
Okay, we're going to take a short commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to hear more of the secrets.
Thank you for calling Denim Revival.
Hate to say goodbye to your favorite jeans? Well, now you don't have to, because Denim Revival is here for you. Mail us your jeans and our professionals will fix it right up. We offer you all kinds of alteration services, including invisible repairs, let-outs, taperings, and original hemming, or even have your own custom-made jeans. Quoted the best denim repair shop by GQ, Vogue Magazine, and LA Times. Denim Revival, your search for alteration and repair ends here.
And to you it ain't pretty little thing. Howdy, your baby.
Welcome back to Behind the Entertainment Scene. I am your host, Stephanie Thompson, and we have Mr. Kev Orkian with us today, an all-around fabulous entertainer. Yes,
Come on,
Kev.
baby.
And I have my fabulous co-host, Antonio Carnota.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you. With Kev, it's a pleasure. It's an honor. We are in heaven.
I know.
Thank you, Kev.
We
I
are
know.
in heaven.
Yes.
We are in
It
heaven
is-
right now.
It's just some fabulous. I mean, the energy here is just electric. If you could just be here on the set and feel it, it's just fabulous.
Yes, it is.
So you had some questions for him, Antonio.
You are famous. You are traveling around the world. How can you stop the clock? How can you have a time for Kev the man to relax, to maybe in a spiritual activity, or maybe reading a book, or just watch the sunset or the sunrise? How can you relax for a minute?
For me, relaxing is about being around my family.
Oh, wonderful.
Because I don't get to do that very often.
Oh.
So when you're traveling around the world, you don't get to sit with your twin boys who are 4 years old. You don't get to spend time with your wife. Because in England, I run a company as well that basically entertains corporate people, events and this and that. So we manage a lot of talent. And you've got to keep that in the back of your head all the time and this and that. So when I leave all that, I stop touring, I stop doing this, stop doing that. When I get home, I have my family time. And that's when it becomes fun, because the most calm that I'm ever at is when I sit at night around 7:30 most nights. I sit down and both my boys are in their beds, and I sit down and I create a story which puts them to sleep. And I think that's my most calm time ever.
What do your little boys think about what their dad does? I mean, how do you explain it to them about you being away so much?
They get it, but they don't get it because they're only 4 years old.
Yeah.
And when they come and see me in shows in England, they'll be sitting in the audience, and I'll never forget it. I did a big show called Cinderella, where I was playing the comedian in the show. And at one point, in the pure silence, one of my sons turned around and said, "There's Daddy!" Like this, and it put me off completely. I was like, and I was like, but it's incredible because they know what Daddy does. They know he's a pianist. They know he's a comedian. They know he's an actor. They know that, but they also know Daddy as a businessman because they come to my office, they sit down, they play, they watch Daddy working with other people. So Daddy's constantly bang, 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 always working. So when Daddy then gets time to relax, they'll sit down, and once in a while you'll hear one of them go, "I want to be just like you, Daddy." Aww. And it's nice because you understand, they understand where I'm coming from.
Right. And what's your favorite thing about performing?
The audience. It always has been. The challenge of being on stage, doing a performance, and acting or pianist or singer or whatever, when you're performing, it's a wonderful thing, but you can do that with no one there. You can perform, you can sit down and play the piano. Like, I know, Antonio, you probably sit at home and you just tinkle the ivories once in a while, and you enjoy it because it's an emotion. Right. But when you're in front of an audience, you have a totally different concept. And when I do stand-up comedy, for example, I walk on stage and it's like going to battle. Because what I'm doing is I'm basically selling my soul to an audience that doesn't know who I am. And what I have to do is convince them that I'm good at what I do. So every single time I walk on stage, it's a challenge, but it's a wonderful challenge. It's a wonderful experience to get on stage. So for me, it's the audiences every single time.
And Kev, which is a program that you are presenting now at the Tropicana, which is a program, the songs or the things that you are presenting. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I get invited by a wonderful guy called Harry, who runs the Laugh Factory at the Tropicana, and he basically said to me, "Look, I want you to come here just one night and prove to me you can do the show." So I walked on stage one night, and I got a standing ovation.
Oh! So
he looked at me and he just said, "Right, we'll have you back." So the following year, I came back. I did a whole week, and it was really, really great. And people started to get to know who I was. And then last year I came back and we sold out. The entire week was sold out. And now this year, we had 2 full houses last night. So I'm hoping it'll be another sellout week.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So great. Oh, thank you.
Yes. And you told us, I'm from Spain. You were in Spain not far ago.
I was in Spain only 2 weeks ago. I flew from London to Madrid to Santiago to Puerto Montt to join the Queen Victoria, because I do a lot of cruising as well.
Yes.
So I do like 15, 20 cruises a year.
I need to ask you, did you try the tortilla española? Did you try the paella, the pulpo a la gallega?
Paella, I tried that. Definitely. There's nowhere else in the world. It's the best place. The best place. And I love your tomatoes and your mozzarella cheeses and what's.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, tapas. Tapas.
Come on, it's the best.
And from here, you will be playing in Australia this year.
I am. I'm flying to Australia.
Your first time?
No, 8th, 9th time, maybe 10th.
Wow.
I go there every year, every summer from June to July, and I do a big show there, which is about 5 weeks. I do 2 weeks in Melbourne, 2 weeks in Sydney. Last year we did 6 weeks. We did 2 weeks in the Gold Coast as well. Mm-hmm. So I go there, I do a big show, I play the comedian in the show. And this year we're doing Sleeping Beauty.
Oh, you're doing Sleeping Beauty.
Wow. The Disney.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So what are you going to be doing in that?
I play the comedian who is Sleeping Beauty's best friend, but also who he actually falls in love with Sleeping Beauty. Oh. But Sleeping Beauty then gets obviously woken up by the prince.
Prince.
So
right.
I end up being the lonely one again.
Oh.
So most comedians are.
Right.
So yeah, that's another 6. No, that's 5 weeks, and then hopefully at Christmas, it's not confirmed yet, but hopefully to play the lead in the musical Elf that Will Ferrell made famous.
Oh, that is wonderful. They're doing a
Great.
musical of that.
There is a musical already in Broadway, and it's come to England. It's been playing in England for about a year and a half, and now this Christmas they're doing a very big version of it in the West End, and they've asked me if I'll play the lead.
That's fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, we haven't got it yet. We'll see.
Yeah, but well, fingers crossed.
Big time.
Are you planning to record a new album soon?
Yeah, I'm actually planning to do a new piano album. One of my things, one of my passions is to take classical music and upgrade it to this generation. So I've done that with 3 different tracks. I've done it with 2 of Beethoven's tracks, Moonlight Sonata, and I did one with, which one was it? Fur Elise. I did Beethoven's Fur Elise, and I upgraded them to this generation. So there's a bit of hip hop behind it and whatever. So it's more like dun 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 all that kind of thing. So we upgrading those kind of
For the great public.
Exactly.
Yes, wonderful.
So kind of doing that, but I'm also writing some new music, which I'm putting on the album. And because we've got a new documentary coming out this year, we've written some music for that, which I'm now putting on an album as well. So hopefully two albums this year, hopefully, if we have time.
Did I hear something about a book coming out as well?
Yeah, I've got a book coming out called Growing Up Armenian. And it's a funny look, but a tragic look as well on my life growing up as an Armenian boy in England, because even though I was brought up in England, we weren't exposed to the English ways, the English traditions. We were always, we were brought up with the Armenian culture, the Armenian ways, Armenian food, Armenian prayer, Armenian school on a Sunday. So it was that kind of approach. So when I was brought up and I went to English school, when I first started, I went to preschool, it was a whole different ball game. And what I saw children do, I wasn't allowed to do. So that whole different balance between Armenian and English and growing up, and all the differences. A lot of comedy in there as well, a lot of real life stories that I experienced as a child and growing up. Even when I was 18, 19, I'm pretty much going to tell the story till I was about 25, 26.
Okay. And what are some of the lessons that you've learned along the way that you would like to share with our audience?
In regards to entertainment?
Yes. Things that you learned that maybe you could share that you could help people maybe not do, that things that you did that maybe you wish you hadn't.
One of the most direct things I can say straight away is don't believe other people will help your career as much as you will help yourself. I think a lot of people sit back as an entertainer, as an artist. They sit back and they allow someone else to manage their career, and that can be quite detrimental to your life. So when I was growing up, I had numerous agents, numerous managers, and no one did a better job than myself, because I'm the one that gets up in the morning. I'm the one that wakes up at 6:30 in the morning, is on the laptop, is emailing people, please, have you got any work this year? Is there an event coming up? Can I entertain your audience? You know, and doing all that work. So I constantly work on my career, constantly, whereas other people, I don't think, have the same priority as I do for making better of my life.
Sure.
So that would be definitely something I would encourage other people to do, and that's not just in entertainment. I think that's in every way of life. You know, if you want to be a great pianist like Antonio, if you want to be a great chef, you know, like Gordon Ramsay. I mean, I don't think, you know, Gordon Ramsay was you know, going through the ranks, and Marco Pierre White was one of his tutors. You know, Marco Pierre White, a great chef himself. You know, but if Gordon Ramsay is going to make a name for himself, he's got to move away from all that. He's got to start, you know, focusing on his journey and working towards his life. So I think you've got to focus. You've got to believe in your focus. You've certainly not got to allow... See, one of the things that I think was detrimental to me in my life was the fact that I truly believed other people's opinions. So if I was going to, for example, I'd wake up in the morning and I'd go, right, this year I'm going to perform at the O2 Arena. And my friend would turn around and he would go, yeah, whatever. Like, you're never going to do that. Stop dreaming, because that's not going to happen. I got rid of him as a friend because his negativity, I realized, was what was holding me back. Because it wasn't my fear, it was his fear that I couldn't do the O2. My fear wasn't that I couldn't do the O2. My fear was that I was trying to believe him. So when I pulled away from him, my voice in my head said, you can do this. And then I ended up performing in front of 21,000 people.
Fantastic.
At the O2 Arena.
Amazing.
That's fantastic.
So I knew I could do it.
That's
I knew I could do it. And he no longer performs. He's now, I think he's a teacher now. He gave it all up. So everyone has their own fears. And if you allow your fears to take over you, then you'll never do what you want to do. But if you allow those fears to be there and say, it's fine, it's okay to fear, but I'm going to move on from this, and I'm going to make it happen. I don't care what happens. Then you'll make it.
You're very inspirational. I really enjoy talking to you because you are very inspiring to talk to.
Am I right if I think that you recognize that you have a talent, but you are working hard, and in Spain we say you are sweating your shirt. You are working hard.
You have to work hard.
Both things at the same time.
I think you do. I think I realized my talent thanks to my mum, because it was my mum's dream for me to play the piano. And that was part of my, that was part of her dream, that became mine. But as far as performing, that came from within, that came from my life.
We are interviewing many artists, but not many artists are recognizing, you are talking about your mama, you are talking about your family, your kids, your wife, your roots. That is amazing. How important is that in your life, Kev?
Family is really, really important in my life. My children and my wife, my everything, I mean, I wouldn't be doing this as much as I passionately love doing, if I didn't know there was something at the end of it. And for me, knowing that I can provide for two beautiful children that are the greatest gifts in the world, and a wife that completely and utterly supports what I do, because it's hard when you're touring around, as a woman with two little boys on your own, it's really hard. So the fact that she allows me to do that to a certain degree, and she doesn't stop me, she's an absolute angel. But then on the top of that, my parents as well, my father and my mother. My father wasn't very supportive because he was afraid. You see, he thought, no, entertainment, being an actor, it doesn't pay money. It doesn't pay good money. No. You become engineer. You do engineer. You do this. You do it. But when he realized that I was earning money from being a performer, he was like, this is not bad. He's doing something, And then, but my mother was always encouraging, But one of the things that my parents did, which at the time I'd be like, it would get on my nerves. I'd be like, well, why are you doing that? Why? I'd do a show and everyone would stand up, well done, bravo, 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 bravo. And my mother and father would stand up, of course, and applaud. And after the show, I'd run up to them, Mum, did you enjoy the show? What do you think? Was I good? Was I good? And she'd go, no problem. When we go home, we talk. And I'd be like, okay. And everyone else would, Kev, you were fantastic, this, that, whatever. But my parents never. And then when I went home, I'd say to my mum, so, what do you think?
Now,
what do you think? Tell me.
Please.
And she'd be like, bravo, good night. And that would be it. So she wouldn't ever tell me how good I was, because she believed if she'd done that to me, then I'd become lazy.
You become...
So for me, her encouragement, complacent is a great word. Yeah. So in actual fact, for me, it was all about trying to please them to start with. And then I realized actually they're very proud of what I do. And it's more about what I need to do now. It's my journey.
So I have a question for you. If you weren't an entertainer, what would you be?
An animator.
An animator?
Yeah. I studied to become an animator for Hanna-Barbera and Warner's. And I wanted to basically produce cartoons.
So you draw?
I used to draw. I haven't done it for many years, but I used to draw. I gave that side of my career up, my life up. Sorry, many years ago. But I used to paint and design all the Disney cartoons. I used to do that, and I was one of the youngest students in the UK to have ever done the first Lego animation.
Wow.
And that was 15 years before the actual real Lego animation came out. So I've actually got a minute and a half footage of a Lego animation, which took me 4 days to film in a shed, and moving every single piece and every Lego. And I actually did a cartoon about, it was a small car crash that happens and the police come along and the ambulance, and I did the whole thing. It took me 4 days, standing there going, and then changing everything and going, and changing it. And it took me 4 days, but I loved it. Animation was my passion.
Wow. What can you not do?
I can't play basketball because at my height, it's a pointless exercise. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah, but I think we can live with that. I think we can live with that.
Fair play.
And not many artists laugh about themselves. We need to laugh about ourselves. Do you laugh about yourself?
All the time.
That's wonderful.
You have to.
Yeah.
If you don't laugh about yourself, how do you expect the audience to?
Well, I've seen some of your videos. You make fun of yourself all the time, on your show.
All the time. I make videos of my sons, and we do comedy, and I do it all the time. I do little things like that all the time. I love it.
And that's what makes you so endearing to the audience. You know, that you can laugh at yourself, and that it allows us to laugh. You know, at ourselves.
Totally. That's how you have to. If you sat down on a piano and you played the piano, but you had no passion in it, no emotion in it, the audience is just going to watch. They're basically watching a robot. But if you put a story behind it, an emotion behind it, a journey behind it, they're with you all the way. So I think it's the same with comedy. You go into a journey, and if you can laugh about yourself, then they're going to laugh with you as well.
That connection with people, that connection. How do you feel because I understand that you have videos in English, in Armenian. How do you feel when you are offering your presentations in English and in Armenian? How do you feel about that, Kev?
I think because I can do both languages without a problem, I think different presentations require me to do different kind of approaches. So if I was to do an all Armenian show, then it would be very funny to the Armenians because it's everything about my history. Whereas if I did an English show about being Armenian, then you've got to teach them more because they don't know what Armenian is, or they don't know because they haven't been brought up in that atmosphere.
And you will have more opportunities to share with them stories and experience.
Totally. And when they hear the stories, they realise how funny it is. It's like that movie, My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Yes.
Yeah.
No one knew what a Greek wedding really was about until that movie came out.
Right.
And it's the same with me being on stage. Nobody really knows what Armenian life is about until I walk on stage and talk to them about it.
Yeah.
You need to be the ambassador of Armenia here in the United States.
Well, I'm not sure about being an ambassador, but certainly, especially with my stand-up comedy, they're like...
So which is the best musical for you? You were playing many musicals.
Yes.
Which is the best that you feel, I feel happy in this one. I feel like a fish in the middle of the ocean.
That's difficult for me because I've done so many musicals. I did my first musical, which was Me and My Girl, and then went on to playing Fame, and then I was in Greece, the John Travolta, musical, and then I went on to play Happy Days, which is the Fonz. I didn't play the Fonz. I played one of the characters, but I didn't play the Fonz. So I've done many musicals, but I think one of my favourite musicals, which I've never done, and I hope to do one day, maybe when I get a bit older, is Fiddle on the Roof.
Oh, okay.
I love that musical.
Yeah.
But I think as a character, probably The Life of Dudley Moore.
Really?
Yeah, and it wasn't a musical, it was a play.
Yeah, why?
Why? Because he was such a complex character. And he was a pianist, as you know. But he was a complex character. And to walk on stage and play his life and to depict what he was a massive honour for me. So I think, and actually one of the guys that wrote a lot of comedy for him came to see the show. He was 84 years old and he saw the show, and the best compliment I've ever had was he came up to me afterwards. He said, I closed my eyes and I thought Dudley was with me.
Wow.
So I thought that was lovely.
That's wonderful.
84 years old.
Great compliment.
84 years old he was. So yeah, but that's the thing as well. I think you have to remember when you perform, you're taking people on a journey.
Absolutely.
And I think one of the things that another compliment that I got was, and I'm not sure if it's appropriate to talk about it, but a lady was suffering a very bad illness, and she didn't have much time to live. And she came to see a show that I was in called Fame. And she watched the show. She laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed. And at the end of the show, she left. And I didn't know who she was. She was in the show. She was in the audience. A day later, I got a letter from her saying, my name is blah, 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 and I suffer from this illness, and I came to watch you. And for 2 hours, I forgot I had an illness.
Wow.
And that to me is a great thing, because that's why we do what we do.
Isn't that why we perform?
We perform because it's a journey.
It is.
I believe that as
perform.
musicians, we have the responsibility to share that with people.
Totally.
Yes.
And they need to receive that. They deserve to receive that.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I totally agree.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes. So, real quick, just what's your most memorable performance?
I'll be honest with you. It's I really can't put that on a pinpoint, because I've had so many incredible opportunities to tour around the world, to see, to perform, I've been on television, I've done film. So memorable performances, I think each and every one has something that I can take away and learn from as well. So every single one was beautiful for me.
I would like to say thank you, but share with everybody. You have a website, email, any kind of information with them.
Tell us
they would like
information.
They can.
Well, I have a website that people can go to. It's called kevlive.com, and it has all my tour dates and everything that I'm doing. And I have a Facebook page called Kev Orkian Official. And people can go on there and they can get up to date daily news and views and biogs and lots of blogs about what I'm up to and what I'm doing. So they're the two basic places that everyone can find out.
Perfect.
Kev, it was such a delight to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
It's
we
been
hope
great.
to have you again soon sometime.
I hope so.
And God bless you, everyone. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you next time. Antonio, shall we end it up now?
Yeah, one.
As the end of the show, we really hate to let you go. We promise that we will return with many more for things to learn.
Come back and see us next week. All right.
So long, everyone.